Hey, this is Chad with Drawn and Cornered. It is October 7th, Wednesday, and here's all the news you're going to need for today. Everyone is still losing their minds about Trump coming back to the White House, about Trump taking off his mask. This is going to be a story that you see all the way through, probably even tonight's debate with the Vice President and Kamala Harris. You're going to see this come up about whether or not it's responsible for Trump to be back home, to take off the mask, what messages he's sending with the don't be afraid of COVID and don't let it dominate your life. And the thing I want to bring up to you is that there are two readings on this, and there are two readings for very political reasons. The first reading by the left is obviously this is terrible, this is Trump just again denying any sort of accountability or responsibility for coronavirus and pushing off any sort of danger or real world things that people can do to help mitigate this virus's spread, which is masking, which is social distancing, which is some version of the lockdowns, and not necessarily mandated lockdowns, but just not doing things that are unnecessary, large gatherings of people, things like that. All positive moves you can make to help eliminate this virus spread a little bit. And he's not doing a lot of those things, or at least his messaging is not doing a lot of those things. That's one take of it, that this is just him furthering that example. The other take is that our country has gone through quite a rough couple of 8 months here, and we want to make sure that everybody is kind of recognizing that there is a way to get through this. There is an opportunity to be better. There is an opportunity to come out of this and have our lives back. And there has to be aspirational goals towards that end. And sometimes you might not even see that end, but you have to know that we're going to get through this. We're going to get better. And you see this from FDR, and we have nothing to fear but fear itself. You see this from George Bush standing in the rubble of 9/11. That we hear you, the world hears you, and shortly the people who brought down these buildings will hear us all. We don't know that. We don't know that we're going to be able to get back there. He wasn't aware that 11 years later Osama bin Laden would finally be taken out. But you have to give that messaging that when you're down, there is better days coming. There are things that are going to improve. We are moving in the right direction as far as positivity is concerned. And in order to be able to read that message, you have to believe that Trump is with us. And if you don't believe Trump is with us, then you're going to read the opposite message, which I think is why you see a lot of disparity between the way the left looks at that balcony conversation or the tweet and the way the right looks at that conversation or that tweet. Because it is really a message that I think needs to be said. It's just the messenger that's getting slayed in this. And Trump being somebody who's not particularly good at a consistency of message, I think is where the downfall is happening here. The second thing we're going to talk about today is going to be Trump also eliminating any chance of further stimulus before the election. He said, I'm done, I'm pulling it off the table, we're not doing any more of this. And I think, again, there's going to be a couple of readings on this. There's obviously going to be that Trump doesn't care about anybody, so he's reducing stimulus or eliminating that possibility. The other read on it, which I think is the right read, is that Democrats weren't doing this in good faith. They weren't offering up options that are workable. They had consistent poison pills in there from election ballot harvesting funding and eliminating voter ID laws, which have nothing to do with coronavirus, and including those in bills that they knew full well were never going to get passed. In fact, James Clyburn back in March said that a tremendous opportunity to restructure things to fit our vision because of COVID, and it seems like that's never really changed. They're looking to use coronavirus to sneak in some of the items that they'd always wanted, and that seems wildly disingenuous and really counterproductive, especially knowing full well that the Republican Senate is not gonna pass that. It's just not gonna happen. So when that's all you're bringing up to the table, you're intentionally making sure that stimulus doesn't happen, and that's a really unfortunate thing because people could use the help. So you'll see that come up. Tonight we have the vice presidential debate. You're going to see all of these issues brought up. You're going to see Vice President Pence take a much more relaxed, policy-focused view, obviously, than Donald Trump, because Vice President Pence is just a much more relaxed and deliberate person than Donald Trump is. You're going to see Kamala Harris try to show the vision of the Biden-Harris administration and what that would look like. I think she's going to have to do a lot of dodging, specifically because there's a lot of left-leaning policies that they're going to be looking towards, or at least that their party thinks they're going to be looking towards, and there's going to be a lot of moderation against those policies, whether that's the Green New Deal, whether that's Medicare for all of these things that she supported in her campaign, that she's now going to have to answer for on where her stance is. One of the big ones, the thing you need to look out for, is packing the court. This is a question that both her and Joe Biden have refused to answer, and it will be interesting to see if the moderator can get her to finally slam down and cover this topic, because it's something that needs to be asked. It keeps getting pushed off with this, well, we're going to let the people decide and we're not going to distract anybody with our views on this, which makes no sense at all. That's exactly what a campaign is about. You need to tell us what your views are on this so we can make an informed decision. And it's a wildly disingenuous line to take, so hopefully the moderator holds your feet to the fire a little bit on this. And Pence is going to get held to the fire on his coronavirus response and things he's been doing, places where they probably fell down. I would not be surprised if you got a question that said, Vice President Pence, you were in charge of the coronavirus rollout and everything that happened with that. Where do you see at this moment that you stumbled or that you fell? Or where can you recognize that you didn't make the best choice? That, I think, would be a fantastic question. It puts him in a spot where he has to answer about the failings of the administration, which I think is probably not something Trump is super psyched about. But I think anybody with an honest vision could say, yeah, of course there are places that we missed, but this is why. And I think if he answers that properly, obviously it's going to get taken out of context. It's going to be taken as an admission of failure. But I think it is a valid question as to what we see that was wrong and why we saw it as wrong and how we progress forward from there. And I would like to see that from a measured, relaxed, deliberate politician like Pence. So that's what I'll be looking for. Tomorrow we'll do a little bit of recap on that and any sort of news of the day that comes out today. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or want to get in touch with us, check out drawnandcornered@gmail.com. That's drawnandcornered@gmail.com, or you can just leave a comment down below in the YouTube video if that's what you're watching. Definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to whatever podcast service that you're using so that we can get through this, and we will have another one for you tomorrow. Thanks a lot.